Let's talk a little bit about dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness. What is the point of this all? Go around doing this and that here and there, trying to make improvements, thinking this is going to make things better, and yet you end up again and again coming back round to the frustration, disappointment, and that little sense of, it could be better, you know? And again, you get to that point and you're like, okay, what do I do to make it better? By you, I mean I. What do I do to make it better? Think up some clever solution. Maybe even implement it and make some sort of momentary improvement. But get quite excited about it, in fact. And that excitement falls into disappointment. It's like the yin and yang of each other. Excitement and disappointment. Excitement in thinking you've got the answer, the solution to lasting happiness, to lasting satisfaction. And the disappointment, which is the God slapping you in the face for your excitement, evening things out. As your excitement fades and is replaced by its opposite. I think perhaps this is why I've suffered from a little bit. My early stages in this Alexander work, I did my first day and I was like, wow, this is the answer, and then got really super excited about it. Part of me even thought, maybe this is going to break the rules, this is going to be different. But no. I built up my bad karma, so to speak, by getting too excited. So, I suppose the question is, it possible to lessen this disappointment, this unsatisfactoriness, or do you just end up going around in circles forever and ever? Because this is really the big question. Is any progress really made, or do you just up and down, up and down? And this reminds me of an article I read last weekend by Isho Fujita, in which he talks about Zazen meditation. He says that, in fact, Zazen is about sitting down with unsatisfactoriness, and that meditation is, let's call it Zazen. Zazen is supposed to be unsatisfactory. You're supposed to be sat there thinking, oh, I'm a bit disappointed, this is a bit shit, wish it could be better, how do I make it better, because that's the human condition, that's what it is to be human. I suppose that is, in Buddhism, that's called the first noble truth, which is that there is frustration or disappointment, dissatisfaction. That is the kind of human condition. So, we're then told, with our dissatisfactions, our suffering, to observe them, to accept them. But I always thought, if we observed them, if we accepted them, there wouldn't be dissatisfaction, there wouldn't be dissatisfaction, right? So if you're really accepting it, then it's not unsatisfactory. for it to be unsatisfactory, it has to really be unsatisfactory. And so I think it's more really that sitting, it's not so much about accepting, because I think when you say accepting, it means more, it's too liable to be turned into a doing, especially for someone like me. I've got a sneaky suspicion that quite a lot of people are like me. So when you tell someone to accept it, tell someone to sit with it, you're like, okay, cool, now I've got my tactic for making it better. Whereas I think really the only way to cease this ignorance and this suffering is to stop pretending things are going to be any different, or that you can make things any different, and to actually literally just sit and be dissatisfied in a kind of, you're being dissatisfied, and then as such that dissatisfaction expresses itself as it should, and it changes. Things only change when they express themselves as they should, and this does not mean that you try to do the dissatisfaction, because then that itself will be again trying to change things. And so it seems to me, when you talk about the Four Noble Truths, and we say that the second noble truth after the first being dissatisfaction is that there is a cause of dissatisfaction, and that is ignorance, which is to say having a false conception of the world and projecting that. So I believe that the false conception of the world here is that there can be somehow a world in which there is not this dissatisfaction. So if you think that meditation is somehow going to cure your problems, no. I suppose what it can do is make you more fully experience your problems and your suffering in a more rich, less drawn out way. So I think a lot of what we do with our problems are, we ignore them, we deny them, and then we carry them on our backs knowing that something's wrong, and then they stick around for so long that we kind of forget them, and they become more ingrained, and they're just there lingering as tensions which we can't quite undo, and it's just and it's covered in our body. Our bodies are covered in it. These repressed emotions, and I suppose that's what I've been doing these past few years, is trying to unload this crap, let it express itself, really get things moving. But I've got a fucking long way to go. It's almost like the more I look at things, the more I see, the more I see that there is still there. It's clear. Yeah, this is a real lifetime journey. And in terms of those little moments when you think, what am I doing? Where am I going? What's the point of this all? This is also a wonderful reminder, something to notice, because in your very asking the question, what is the point? Am I going around in circles? You're implying that you're trying to get somewhere. That you can somehow beat the game. That you can make the positives outweigh the negatives. Defeat the yin-yang. and indeed that there is a you that is somehow separate from everything else that can win at this game. And it's precisely those kind of thoughts which are causing the suffering in the first place. However, looking at those thoughts, those impulses, and then thinking those are bad, we want to expel those. That too is a cause of suffering, because you're trying to make things different, you're trying to resist things as they really are. Something I've noticed myself do recently is I see, like, okay, the trying mind is the obstacle. So now I see, whenever there's a trying, I see trying in myself, I'm like, this is bad, like, that's not good. Whereas actually, what that does is, by suppressing the trying mind, you feel guilty about it, and then guilt, what does it do? It breeds more of the thing that one feels guilty about, so breeds more trying, creates more suffering. Whereas really, when one looks at things properly, you observe the trying mind, and it's like, oh, there's trying. You do the trying, but you don't really indulge it. I say all these things. I probably could have been saying most of these things for a while now, but actually living them out is a completely different ball game. You have to experience. It's almost like you have to experience again and again and again and again and again disappointment cycle where you think you have something like that, no. And so you really see the kind of helplessness we have, the way that you really see so clearly that trying to control reality, trying to control your future, trying to make things better, trying to make yourself happier, doesn't work. It does not work. I'm saying this to myself. As someone, it's hilarious because you've just got a lifetime of habits that are moving in the other, that point in the other direction. So it takes so long to undo this, especially in someone such as myself, whose habits are so strong in that direction. Wow. And really the only way that any happiness is possible in this world is when we stop trying to make things different. We look at things as they are. It's not saying that we sit and do nothing, but we act in accordance with the way of things rather than denying suffering. I think this running away from suffering is just manifest, and pursuit of pleasure is just manifest everywhere in society around us. And a more accurate view or understanding of reality will help us see that suffering is inevitable all the time. So is your dissatisfaction. So is that bit of you that just make you go away. Just, can it be better? Can it stop? Yeah, and I do think that when you realise that, there's some peace is found. However, if you try to realise that, and listen to that as, okay, now this is the thing for you to do, while you're sneakily behind the scenes trying to do that, you're now trying to do that in order to achieve some goal, then no. I suppose the trying mind can gradually be tamed. Plenty of evidence for that in lots of the people I've met. It can just happen quite slowly. Yep. Need to have patience, which I have in the opposite of abundance, scarcity. You can't have patience and scarcity anyway. Maybe that's something I'll build.
Thank you. That was really enjoyable / interesting.
Sorry to say it was interesting, but I enjoyed it.